Hi there, my name is Scott Arthur and I'm the councillor for Collington, Oxgangs and Fairmile Head, and right now I'm standing in the Oxgangs part of my ward. 2024 looks like it could be a huge year for the UK and for my party, the Labour Party. If all goes to plan, in just 6 months' time, Keir Starmer could be elected as our Prime Minister, and he's a man I've both met and trust. So at long last we could have a Prime Minister who takes seriously the cost of living crisis, one that actually understands the importance of getting our economy back on track and also meeting our climate obligations whilst doing so. So it's really important we get that transformational Labour government into Downing Street. And of course polling shows that we do have quite a good chance of gaining seats in Scotland. Particularly from the SNP. Here in Edinburgh and the Lothians, it shows that we could win seats in Leith, East Edinburgh, East Lothian, Mid Lothian, and even the 2 West Lothian seats. Absolutely incredible actually. And I have to say, in all those seats we've got fantastic candidates right now, and if they are elected and we do have a Labour government, I do not think they'll just be on the backbenches. I think we'll play an active part in that government. And of course I have to say we'll hopefully get Ian Murray re-elected in Edinburgh South. Very important of course. Transformational times ahead hopefully for the UK. Get our country back on track after what just seems like a few years of drift. And you have to say as well also at times incompetence. The hardest seat for us to win in Edinburgh Lothians without a doubt is the one I'm standing in right now, and that's Edinburgh South West. So whilst polling quite frequently shows where Labour could win, all those other seats I listed a few minutes ago and hold Edinburgh South, it also shows that Edinburgh South West is a tough one for us. So analysis which was published a week or two ago showed that Labour is currently 2.6% behind the SNP, so a strong second, around 1,500 votes or so. So that gap could be closed with a good candidate running a good campaign. Easier said than done perhaps. So for some time people have been suggesting I should stand in this seat because of my record as a local councillor, but I've always resisted that because absolutely love being a councillor here, Collington, Oxgangs and Fairmile Head, and the thought of giving it up to do something else breaks my heart, to be honest. But I have been convinced that our best chance of winning this seat is actually to have a candidate who's relatively well known and a candidate who knows the area he's seeking to represent. So on that basis I have agreed to those calls. And so yes, I will be the candidate for Edinburgh South West in the coming election. We don't yet know when that election is going to be because it looks likely the Conservatives are going to hang on in the hope that somehow their fortunes are going to recover in the polls. It's looking quite unlikely, I think. I think most people will realise that they've just had enough of them and they want change, and Keir Starmer is offering the change that they want. So not an easy decision for me, but I think if it helps in a small way to get Keir Starmer elected, I think it's worth me taking that step, I think. Not easy though. And of course getting Keir Starmer elected is really just the start. It's about having a strong government there with a good majority that can make the changes to this country that it needs. And then also, once we get him elected, the next step is to campaign to get Anna Sarwar as our First Minister in Scotland. I'm absolutely fed up with the SNP Green government and what they're doing to our country, to be honest. It feels like we've been drifting for a decade or so. A real low point for me was last year's budget when we had shelter outside Holyrood protesting because the SNP government was cutting the housing budget. Absolutely incredible, absolutely shameful situation. And then we learned a couple of weeks ago that the SNP Green government planned to cut the housing budget by 26% in their budget in February. absolutely shameful. You know, it really is heartbreaking. And I'm standing here in Knoxgangs talking about this, a place where people in these houses around us, these homes around us, they'll be in overcrowded situations, they'll be on the housing list, and some of them will be in temporary accommodation waiting for a permanent home. And yet we have a government just a few miles away cutting the housing budget. And that comes following, you know, Edinburgh's decision to declare a housing emergency, a Labour council, and then even through in Glasgow, an SNP run council did exactly the same thing. So it shows that this isn't partly political. There is really a real crisis faced by many people living in areas like this right across Scotland. And that government's response to that was to cut that budget. Absolutely shameful, and it's a real sign that we need change in this country, both in Holyrood and in Westminster. But the first step, of course, is getting Keir Starmer elected Prime Minister, and I can't wait. But there's a lot of work to get done. I have to keep stressing between now and then. Okay, if you've got any questions or comments, please just leave them below as ever. Okay, bye just now, and I hope you have a great, fantastic 2024. I certainly hope Keir Starmer has one. Okay, bye for now.